Hey, bud. I just wanted to read you a bedtime story before I head off to class. I hope you've been good in school today and you got a good or a great or a rock day from your teacher. Um, we have a library over here at my school, and I grabbed you a book to read. It's called What? Cried Granny, an almost bedtime story by Kate Lum and pictures by Adrian Johnson. What? Cried Granny, an almost bedtime story. Once upon a time there was a boy named Patrick who was having his first sleepover at his granny's house. As the sun began to set, Granny said, "Patrick, dear boy, it will be dark soon. Time to get ready for bed." "But, Granny," said Patrick, "I don't have a bed here." "What?" cried Granny. She ran out to her yard where some tall trees were growing and chopped one down. She carried it to her workroom, opened her toolbox, and made Patrick a fine bed. Then she painted it a restful shade of blue, put a comfy red mattress on it, and took it to the bedroom. "There you are, dear boy," said Granny. "Now climb into bed, lay your head on the pillow, and sail off to dreamland." "But, Granny," said Patrick, "I don't have a pillow here." "What?" cried Granny. She ran out to her hen house, woke up the chickens, and collected a big batch of feathers. She took them to her sewing room, where she made a bag of cloth. Then she stuffed it with feathers, sewed it up neatly, and gave it to Patrick. "There you are, dear boy," said Granny. "Now climb into bed, lay your head on the pillow, and tuck the blanket under your chin, and I'll kiss you good night." "But, Granny," said Patrick, "I don't have a blanket here." "What?" said Granny. She ran outside and headed for the hills where the flock of fat sheep were snoozing. She sheared off some of their wool and ran it back home. Shearing means to cut. They cut off their wool. She took the wool to her basement, spun it into yarn, knitted a fuzzy warm blanket, and dyed it the prettiest shade of twilight purple. When it was dry, she carried it upstairs and spread it on the bed. "Now, dear boy," said Granny, "climb into your bed, lay your head on the pillow, tuck the blanket under your chin, and give your teddy bear a hug, and turn out the light." "But, Granny," said Patrick, "I don't have a teddy bear here." "What?" cried Granny. She grabbed her emergency sewing kit, tore down the living room curtains, cut, sewed, stuffed, added button eyes and a red ribbon, and made a teddy bear for Patrick. That's the biggest teddy bear ever. "Now, Patrick," cried Granny, "climb into bed, lay your head on the pillow, tuck the blanket under your chin, give your teddy bear a hug, and go to sleep." "But, Granny," said Patrick, "it's morning." "What?" cried Granny. The end. Now that was a pretty funny book, huh? Now I hope you go to bed and you don't tell Mommy, "What?" Love you, bud. Good night. Sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite.